What is up, guys? It is your boy King Scourge here, and tonight we are going to be doing a Dracoslayer deck profile. Um, it's been a long awaited. I do have a few more deck profiles for you guys, but there's been some stuff going on that I will put in another video, and I will explain everything. But for right now, let's get started with the deck profile. All right, guys. So first off, it's going to be pretty. This deck's going to be pretty standard. I play a couple things different, but we are going to start off with three Ignis Phoenix, the Dracoslayer. This is arguably the worst one in the bunch, but it has a pendulum scale of 7, and basically, during your main phase, you can shuffle one face-up pendulum monster from your extra deck into the deck, and add one non-pendulum Dracoslayer or Ignite monster from your deck to your hand. You're never going to use that effect, but its monster effect is what you're going to use off of Ignister and things like that. You're going to basically, it's like a Pendulum Magician. If it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon one Dracoslayer Pendulum monster from your deck, and it is treated as a tuner. You're going to most likely be popping this with like Skyrus or some other means, Luster or whatever. And this is always treated as an Ignite card. So, next we play 3 of the Dynamite Power Load. This one is always treated as a Dinomist card. If this card is tributed, which you can use it to go into Dinoster Power, the fusion monster, you can add one face-up Dracoslayer or Dinomist card from your extra deck to your hand, except for a copy of itself. Its pendulum effect is you can, if you have another Dracoslayer in your other pendulum zone, you can special summon it, or Dinomist. So basically, it's a free special summon. It helps get your plays started, but you will trigger that effect if you use it to go into Dinoster. Not very often, but you will use that secondary effect. 3 Luster. For those of you who don't know what Luster does, you use it for a scale effect. It's a scale 5. You can basically blow up a card in your other pendulum zone and search another copy of it, of the card you blew up. So let's say I had let's say I had a Skullcrobat Joker. For whatever reason, my other pendulum zone, I could destroy the Skullcrobat Joker and search another copy of it. It's a level 4 tuner. It cannot be used as fusion, synchro, or Xyz material, except for the synchro summon of a Dracoslayer. So, just to be forewarned about that. Next 3, my personal favorite. We have 3 Majesty's Pegasus. She's always treated as a Majespector card. Alright. This is her monster effect. Once per turn, quick effect, you can discard her from your hand to the graveyard to make all your Dracoslayers basically Majespectors, where they can't be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects for their turn. Her scale effect, she's a low scale, but basically if you have a Majespector card or a Dracoslayer in your other pendulum zone, you can add one Dracoslayer with a different name from your deck to your hand, pendulum monster. And then you have the optional effect to blow up another card in your pendulum zone. She can blow herself up if you want as well. So she's very good. Also, her monster effect, her second part of her monster effect is if she is pendulum summoned or special summoned by the effect of a Dracoslayer monster, which is very easy to do, you can add one field spell from your deck to your hand and then discard a card. So she's very good. You need to play 3 of her. Next, I play 2 Master for the last of the Dracoslayers. It's a low scale, which this deck kind of desperately needs, but I make it work. It's a normal pendulum, which you have to be careful of because you cannot use this to go into Beyond the Pendulum. Because Beyond the Pendulum specifically states 2 effect monsters, including 1 pendulum monster. Unfortunately, this is not an effect monster, which sucks. So just keep that in mind if you are trying to do some of your plays. And its pendulum scale is very simple. If you have another card in your pendulum zone, you can destroy one card in your pendulum zone. It could be it or your other Pendulum Zone. You're not really going to use that effect, but you can if you want. So that's it for the Dracoslayers. I do play a small Majespecter package. I play, because this deck needs low scales, I play 3 Majespecter Fox. Fox girl here. She knows this little fox cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. That's all the Majespecters have. When she's summoned, normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Majespecter trap from your deck to your hand. So she plays fetch, gets you a trap. Then we play 3 Raccoon, Bumboku. Basically, he searches any Majespecter monster, and he can search Majesty's Pegasus, your Dracoslayer, because she's treated as a Majespecter. So, so that's on summon, and he also cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Your opponent's card effects. For the last of the Majespecters, I only play 2 Ogama. It basically cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If it's summoned, you can set 1 Majespecter spell or trap from your deck to the field, meaning it cannot be ashed, but it cannot be activated that turn. So, personally, if you really wanted to, you could probably get away with just playing 3 Fox. You can only activate each of their effects once per turn. Sorry, you can only get away with activating their effects once per turn. But you could probably get away with playing 3 Fox and 1 Toad. And if you really want to be creative, you could swap another copy of a Toad with Crow. Crow fetches a spell. But I do not believe you need 3 of it. I personally don't like playing even two of Toad, but you kind of have to. Because we only play 2 targets for Toad. Next up, we have, for the non-Dracoslayers and stuff, we have 3 Skullcrobat Joker. This card was banned for a reason for a while. When it's normal summoned and is not once per turn, you can add 1 Magician Performance Power Odd Eyes card from your deck to your hand. And it is not once per turn. Its scale effect is you can only Pendulum Summon Magician Performance Power Odd Eyes monsters. This effect cannot be negated. So just bear that in mind. Next, the only Odd Eyes card that we search, 3 Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. This card is cracked. Has a lot of text on it. You thought Endemia has a lot of text. This card has a lot of text. Pendulum effect. You can target 1 Dragon type Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and if you do, destroy this card. Also, you cannot Pendulum Summon except for Dragon type monsters. This effect cannot be negated. That's its Pendulum effect. Its monster effect. It is not once per turn. You can discard 1 card, pay 500 life points to add 1 level 8 or lower Dragon type monster from your deck to your hand. Okay. It can only be special summoned or Pendulum summoned from the hand. You only special summon it by attributing 1 Dragon type Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz monster on the field. This card gains attack equal to half your opponent's life. So if your opponent does not have any increase or decrease in life, this card will start out with 4,000 attack, because half of 8,000 is 4. Finally, you're not going to use this effect, but if you do, you really cannot kill your opponent. It's impossible to kill your opponent with that card alone. But finally, you can pay half your life points. It resets the grave and the field. Shuffles all other cards except for this card on the field and in the graveyard into the deck. You're usually not going to use that effect, but yeah, it does all that. And none of those effects are once per turn either, which is nuts. And neither are the Dracoslayers, which is why that card is nuts. Okay, for the Magicians, we play 3 Harmonizing. Yes, you need to play 3 Harmonizing because basically she cannot be Pendulum Summoned from the extra deck. When she's Pendulum Summoned, you can spell summon a Magician monster from your deck. Its effects negate it, and it's also banished when it leaves the field. If she were to be used for a Fusion, Sync, or XZ summon, all other cards have to be Magician Pendulum monsters. She's basically literally like Luster, but for Magicians. Her Pendulum effect is all monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each Magician type. Each Magician with a different name in your extra deck. So, very crucial. I only play 2 purple poison. I am seriously considering bumping this up to 3. Just because, again, this deck needs low scales. This card is actually really quite crazy. If it's destroyed by battle card effect, you can pop a face-up card on the field. Also, if a dark spellcaster you control battles, you can make that monster gain 1200 attack points during damage calculation, and then it self-destructs. So then you trigger its other effect to be able to pop another card. So even if they negate this somehow with like a counter trap or a monster effect, you're still going to get the pop. It's crazy. But I'm thinking about playing 3 of this because there are some times where it's like, okay, well, what do I do here? Because I can't really use Luster and another Dracoslayer because, So I'm definitely really heavily considering, I would recommend playing 3 Purple Poison as well. Some people might think it's a brick, but this deck does need some lower scales, so I think it would help with the consistency of that. For the 1-offs, we play 1 Astrograph. When a monster you control, when a card you control is destroyed by battle card effect, you can summon it. Then you can target a card from anywhere, so graveyard, field, or extra face-up extra deck that was destroyed this turn, add another copy of that card. Broken. That one for a reason. Last of the monsters, we play 1 Scythe because we do play Scythe Lock. We do play Scythe Lock, and locking out your opponent out of the extra deck is unfair, but Konami did not ban this card yet, so we're going to play it. So that's it for the monsters. Let's go into the spells and traps. Okay, so be forewarned, I like to play a lot of searchers, so my logic behind is having duplicates. So I play 1 Rhoda because to search the Ignis Phoenix. But I also play a tech card of 1 Infernoble Arms Durandal. Now, this is just because in case you get ashed. I mean, not that it does happen, but I feel like I have the room to kind of play a couple extra cards to be able to just have a backup plan in case one card... Because if you draw your 1-of, it's like, oh, well, and then they ash it or whatever, it's like, well, shit, now what? So, in Infernoble Arms, I thought of that card because it's actually... It doesn't really lock you out of anything. It's really funny because you can equip it to your opponent. If you're going second, you can equip this to your opponent's monster before you do anything, and you can still activate the effect. It's so dumb, but, I mean... That's why I play 2 of that. Or 1. 1 and 1. Same reason why I decided to try 2 Dinomist Charge. You could probably get away playing this at 1. I feel like the Dinomist one, the Dynamite Power Load really isn't as important as the other ones. But it does help in case something gets ashed, but... So what this does is this adds Dynamite Power Load, and then if a Dinomist is added to your extra deck face up, you could add it to your hand. And a lot of people may disagree with me, but I still play the one terraforming just because. Yes, we have Majesty's Pegasus, but you have to pitch a card too and pitch resources. But we do play 3 separate field spells, so I play the one terraforming. And then lastly, I play for the field spells 1 Sky Iris to pop cards and get your plays going, and the Search Ada's Revolution because it's not once per turn. 1 Majesty's Pegasus to be able, because we do play a few Majespeters, you know, you tribute a wind spellcaster to summon a level 4 or lower Majespector from your deck. So usually you can do this to summon, but if you already have a Majesty Pegasus on field, the Dracoslayer, you tribute her, summon Baboku and get more advantage that way, or summon a Fox or whatever you may need. And then I play the 1 Necro Valley because we all hate Tyr. You can play Secret Village if you would like, but I feel like Necro Valley is just kind of that one card that people are starting to play. Lastly, for the traps, we only play 1 Tornado and 1 Tempest. Tornado is a target banish by attributing Wind Spellcaster, and Tempest is literally searchable Solemn Strike. If you feel confident that you could end on a board with a double Solemn Strike if you'd like. If you wanted to switch some cards around and play Crow, you could play Cyclone. You could play Majespecter Cyclone, which is basically a target pop, but I feel like either way, I feel like it's up to your personal preference. Do you want to banish the monster, or do you just want to destroy it? I personally would like to banish it, because that way, you know, it's off the field. So that is it for the main deck. Let's talk about the extra deck real quick. Again, my extra deck's pretty standard. There are a couple of things that I play differently, but keep in mind. First, 1 Beyond the Pendulum. This card is nuts. I would really want to play 2 of it if I could find room. But right now, 1 is fine. You have to play at least 1. Its effect is not once per turn, but when it's link summoned to in an extra monster zone, you can pay 1,200 life points to basically add 1 Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. Also, after this effect resolves, you cannot activate monster effects, and all effects in your Pendulum scales are negated until you Pendulum summon. That does not include the effect of like Revolution and Skulker Bad Joker. Those effects cannot be negated. So like Revolution Dragon says you cannot Pendulum summon except for monsters or dragons. You're still locked in the dragons, even though the effects are negated. They're not negated because they cannot be. They specifically say they cannot be negated. So, just a little FYI on that. So, if you have a Revolution Dragon in your Pendulum scale and you have a low scale, even though it negates the effects, it cannot negate Revolution. So you're still locked in the Pendulum summoning dragons for whatever reason. That's just a ruling on that. That paying 1,200 is not once per turn either. So if you have multiple copies, it kind of gives you advantage. Also, if you were to Pendulum summon monsters with 2 different levels, you get to pop 2 cards on the field. So, doesn't come up, but it does come up once in a while. Next, we play 1 Dagda because we play Scythe Lock. Once per turn, if a card in the field will activate its effect, you can set 1 artifact monster from your hand or deck to your field in your spell and trap card zone. Also destroy it during your opponent's next end phase. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 artifact monster from your graveyard. You can only use each affected artifact Dagda once per turn. I play 1 Selene because you have to. Gains spell counters equal to the number of face-up spell and trap spell cards on the field in the graveyard. It does count your Pendulum zones, by the way. So usually she's going to gain at least 3 spell counters. But As a quick effect, you can remove 3 spell counters to special summon a spellcaster from either your graveyard or your hand in face-up defense mode to a zone she points to. And finally, while there's a mythic or an Endymion card on the field, she cannot be targeted for attacks. You're not going to use that effect because we do not play any Endymion cards in this deck. Next for the Link Force, one Oppo because besides being a fox goddess, you could tell with her fox ears, she monster negates. Nothing more needs to be said, and she gives you really good link zones, and she's kind of generic. In that I see people attacking this. I personally would probably play an access code, which I should be getting an access code in the mail. But I see people playing this. Now, you may be thinking, why this? This has an interesting effect, actually. So let me read it to you. Besides being, it only takes 1+ effect monsters to make, which is really kind of insane. So you can only control one World Sea Dragon's Atlanteus. You can only use the following effects once per turn. So basically, during your main phase, you can banish all other monsters on the field, or all monsters on the field. Then special summon as many monsters as possible that were banished by this effect to the owner's side of the field in face-up or face-down defense position. And it says, during the battle phase quick effect, you can destroy cards up to the number of monsters on the field that are co-linked. You're not going to really use that effect, but you use that to kind of... So basically, you can get rid of your Appaloosa. Alright? Pitch your Appaloosa and another monster, and then if you have your Dracoslayers, because your Dracoslayers are not once per turn, which is why Revolution and stuff is insane, because then you can do some stupid shenanigans with that. So if you had like a Luster or whatever, you can be like, or if you had like a Ignister or whatever, and you already used the effect, okay, summon this, banish everything, bring them back, activate the effect again. So it's crazy. But if you can have an access code, which is now should be a little bit more affordable now with the recent reprint, I would recommend playing access code going second. Going first, this is not a bad tech option. For sure. Next, I play for the Xyz. One Tornado Dragon because I am a pussy and I want to reinsure to try and get the Scythe lock online without having to just rely on the Antis combo. So I play one Tornado Dragon. One plan B in case something goes wrong, Baguska. Yeah, summon this in defense mode, negate everything. Stalls for a turn. One Majester, because Majester basically lets you summon your Dracoslayers from your extra deck. But it can't be used as Xyz material, which is really cool. Also, on summon, during the end phase, you get to add one Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. One Dweller, because, again, shuts off Graveyard, and we don't like Tier. We don't like Tier Element, or anything that has to do with the Graveyard. Lastly, I play one Hull Harbinger because you can make rank 8 and you can use it because Ignister and Dinoster are both level 8s, and you can use it to negate spells, and you can use it to protect your Appaloosa from attacks. Doesn't come up, but you can do that. Next are the Synchros. One Savage, more negates. Put Link Monster in the grave, equip them, and he becomes negate and becomes huge. Double Ignister because its effects are not once per turn. It is non-targeting removal by destroying a card in the Pendulum Zone on either player's field. On either field, by the way. And then you can shuffle a card on the field into the deck. It does not target. And you can special summon Dracoslayers from your deck, but they cannot be used as synchro material. And again, this effect not once per turn. So if you link it off or go into a second copy, you can use the effect again. Bring it back with Revolution, use the effect again. I mean, you can cycle them. Dinosaur, because Dinosaur lets you summon a Dracoslayer from your graveyard or your hand, but it cannot be used as fusion material. Also, gives blanket protection all your Pendulum monsters in your Pendulum zone and on your field, as in they cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects while he's by battle or your opponent's card effects while he's face up on the field. So you typically summon him in defense mode, and because he has almost 3,000 defense, he's basically a 3,000 wall, which is pretty big. But just to be forewarned, just because your monsters can't be destroyed by battle, just because your monsters are safe doesn't mean you are. So just be very careful of that. I still lost a game, not a match, but I lost a game because I was playing against an Invoke player one time last week or 2 weeks ago, and he dropped Invoke Purgatrio, and Purgatrio was just massive, and he kept on just ramming into my monsters. He's like, your monsters, you still take damage, correct? I'm like, yeah, game 2, and he pierced. So it's like, just watch out for that. And for the last card, we play the 1 in Tis because, again, Scythe lock, and you can hard make this. The original combo was you could hard make this by sending an Xyz and a Synchro. So Ignis or your Savage or whatever, and whatever Xyz you have. And then you would you summon a level 4, overlay this for Dweller, use Dweller effect during your opponent's standby, shutting off the graveyard, and Tis effect will trigger targeting the Scythe or targeting a card in the field to pop it, and then summon Scythe. Scythe summons itself, and then your opponent's locked out. But that's why I play Tornado Dragon. I play this as a backup plan. So, and that looks like that's going to be it for the deck profile, guys. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this content. Please, if you guys do, please do me a favor and just leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will try to upload more deck profiles whenever I have the chance. And I will have a few videos coming out, hopefully. I'm not sure when. I mean, it's been absolutely crazy the last couple of weeks, so I will be explaining that in another video. But with that, King Scourge is out. Later, guys.